Ladies and gentlemen, whether we like it or not, what happened yesterday was unprecedented. Not surprising if you've been paying attention to the president over the past few days. You probably noticed that he seemed very itching for this, and if you watched any bit of Fox News, you saw that the roiling boils of manufactured consent were rolling ahead, and they were strong. They were ready. It was constant reports of the strikes that were happening in Israel, of course, not the ones that were happening in Iran, and it was constant media proclamation of that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if you watched Fox Primetime, it was strong nationalistic rhetoric. This was coming. This was coming, and it was obvious. It was clear that this was coming. What's not very clear, and what is very unfortunate, because we're dealing with a man who is not very honest and open with the American people. He changes and flip-flops and does things every single day, who has now changed his rhetoric from, oh, Iran can't have a nuclear weapon, to what seems to me the closer alignment with Israel on, we need regime change. He stated today, 4:55 p.m., 622, it's not politically correct to use the term regime change. Oh, wow, okay. But if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change in Iran? Make Iran great again. So stupid. So, of course, we are now set up and primed in an escalatory fashion. He made it very clear in his speech last night. What did he say? Let's be very clear. What did he say? If Iran does not make peace, there will be more attacks. So there is a risk, there is a high risk here of direct involvement in this conflict, at least, at the very minimal, through aerial bombardment, more detached means. Because I think the American people are going to be very, very opposed to a boots-on-the-ground situation. They should be opposed to this. They should be absolutely abhorrent and opposed. This should be abhorrent. But it's concerning. It's very concerning. What we are witnessing, what we are seeing, it's a very clear escalatory pattern. Iran, in a way, fortunately, doesn't have a significant capability to do lots of damage to U.S. interests. Their missile program, if we believe Israel, and as we've seen in the past few weeks with diminishing strikes on Tel Aviv and such, their missile program is limited. I think they said 50% of the missile carriers have been destroyed and such. Can they mount a significant attack that is worthwhile for the United States to say, hey, this is, why we should directly involve ourselves? Political disillusionment here at home is the biggest key to preventing a conflict in the Middle East like Iraq 2.0. Because what is primed here is a scary escalation based on the same tired rhetoric you heard in Iraq. Israel, Iran is weeks away from a nuclear weapon. They've been saying that for years. They've been months away, been a year away, whatever. There's no evidence. There is no clear and concise evidence that they were. Even if they were, Trump backed out of the nuclear agreement in 2018. What did they have to pay attention to? Nuclear proliferation, I'm going to say something controversial here. Nuclear proliferation is sometimes the key to peace. Sometimes a country has to stay strapped if they want to avoid being invaded by a superpower like the United States. And it's just the case. Nuclear deterrence works. Even in the case of North Korea, listen, do you think North Korea is just going to nuke South Korea? No, they know they would be nuclearly devastated. They would be attacked. Why do they do their tests and their missile? It's deterrence. It's to remind people, is it dumb? Sure. We know they have nuclear weapons. It's deterrence. It's deterrence. Iran knows they're not going to be able to win against the United States. I think they know that. Of course, they posture through their propaganda, but realistically, they know. They know. So here we are. What's the key here? What happens next depends on the political recourse. If Trump sees support for this kind of conflict, for regime change, and it keeps ramping up on media, because we know he pays attention to the media, if it's on social media, it increases his likelihood of being involved. If there is political recourse, impeachment is reasonable, very reasonable. This is Bernie Sanders reacting to the very unfortunate news of our direct involvement in Iran, and he makes it very clear at the end, this is unconstitutional. This is like attacking Pearl Harbor. If Japan attacked Pearl Harbor and said, "Oh, we're not at war. We're not at war." The only difference there is Iran can't do anything reasonable, meaningful. In a way, we might make it meaningful in the media and use that to churn out a war, of course. But realistically, we attacked someone who was down, we bullied, we punched down, and then we make up the punches that they're making back.
Statement from Donald Trump, quote, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran," etc.
That, my friends, is what we
I agree. And I want to tell you something. Not only is this news that I've just heard, the second alarming that all of you have just heard, but it is so grossly unconstitutional. All of you know that the only entity that can take this country to war is the U.S. Congress. The President does not have the right.
So, my predictions. The United States has set itself up for an escalatory cycle. What does that mean? The United States, of course, just like we see with an escalatory cycle with Israel, striking Iran, Israel strikes, Iran retaliates, Israel uses an excuse to retaliate further, Iran retaliates further. We are set up and primed for an escalatory cycle. We've attacked, we've done our Pearl Harbor for Iran. What is the Iranian response? What are they capable of? What are they ready to do? How much are they willing to get involved with a foreign conflict in the United States? Do they see it as a way to deal political damage to the United States? It's possible they know about the recourse and the political divide here in the United States and unwillingness to go to war. Perhaps they could, probably unlikely, attempt to drag the United States into the conflict. I don't see that being as very likely. That would be more of a kind of conspiratorial reign if we're discussing influences of the other powers out there like Russia and China, right? Very unlikely that Iran would do that. Iran is most likely going to make a limited strike. They're going to want to retaliate, to save face, to show that they can and will. That's enough to cause political recourse in the United States to discuss that, hey, Iran is retaliating. This is a real war problem, a real risk of war. So a recourse by Iran could prompt discussion in the United States to back out of involvement. It's possible. That level of retaliation is what's important. What needs to be done and how it gets done will determine how things play out. The U.S. and the actions later are what's most important. Boots on the ground, going to be politically difficult, hard. But this rhetoric is interesting. And it would be, just like we were paying attention to Fox News, it would be interesting to see this rhetoric change from nuclear program, because of course it's been decimated. Of course it's going to be used nationalistically. Look how great the great military, look what we did. To this, look what Iran does behind closed doors. Look how many people they imprison. Look at how many people they kill. And they're going to start looking at the moral side of things, just like they did with Iraq. So if we start seeing that kind of sentiment, of course, be aware that there might be further involvement in Iran. And we need to promote political consequences. True political consequences. But it's truly up to the United States at this point. Iran only has a limited means to retaliate. The ball is always in the United States' hands. Of course, people say it's kicked to Iran, but no. It's always in our hands. We knew there would be a retaliation from this. Peace through strength now is more dangerous when you realize it's practically the same as Israel's policy. And that peace through strength can really means winning. Showing our might, flexing our might in winning. That's what peace through strength is. Winning. Peace by winning. Comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. So, let's be mindful of that as we move on. This is what we await. This is what we have to deal with. And let's be mindful of that. That's all I have for now, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Till next time.